Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today in this video we'll be discussing about what is a private company and what is a public company or what is the difference between them. I have downloaded this PDF of Companies Act 2013 from the MCA website and I will share the link of the same in the description box for your reference and you may download it from there. So let's start with the private company, which is subsection 68 of the section 2 of the Companies Act 2013, which says that private company means a company having a minimum paid up share capital as may be prescribed. Earlier, this minimum paid up share capital was prescribed as 1 lakh rupees, but this limit of 1 lakh rupees was omitted by an amendment act of 2015. So now there is no such prescribed limit of the minimum paid up share capital. But however, the CG may by rules prescribe such limit in future period. So private company means a company having a minimum paid up share capital as may prescribed which is not yet prescribed and which by its articles restricts the right to transfer its shares, which restricts the company's members to transfer their shares to another person and limits the number of its members to 200 except in case of a OPC. So as we know that OPC is a kind of a private company, but since OPC has got only one person as a member, so the limit of 200 is not applicable on the one person company. Now the act has also specified that who all will be covered under the limit of 200. So for that we have provided that where two or more persons hold one or more shares in a company jointly, they shall for the purpose of this clause be treated as a single member. So if there are two persons who are holding a single share jointly, then for the purpose of the limit of 200, those two members will be considered as only one member. Suppose if you and me are holding a share of a private company, then for the purpose of the limit of 200, we both shall be considered as only a single member. Now the next provision which we have is that provided further that persons who are in the employment of the company, persons who have been formerly in the employment of the company, were members of the company while in that employment, and have continued to be the members after the employment ceased, shall not be included in the number of members. So this means that if there is a person who is an employee of the company, who is in the employment of the company, and is also a member of the company, shall not be included in the limit of 200. And also if there was an employee in the company as well as he was a member of the company, but due to any such reasons he left the employment, but he continued to be the member of that company, so for the purpose of limit of 200 such person will also not be included in the limit of 200. And the next clause we have is that prohibits any invitation, that the articles of a private limited company prohibits any invitation to the public to subscribe for any securities of the company. So I've got a mnemonic for the private company definition, which is RLP. R means restriction on the transfer of its shares of the company, and L means limits the number of its members to 200, provided further that it shall not include any person who are in the employment of the company or who were formerly in the employment of the company as well as they were the members, but then he left his employment but he continued to be the member, so he will not also not be included in the limit of 200. And third we have is of joint owners. If there are any joint owners in the company, then for the purpose of calculating the limit of 200, those two joint owners will consider to be as a one member for the only the limit of 200. And third, p means prohibition on any invitation to public for subscription to its securities. So this was your meaning of the private company. Now let's get ahead to the definition of public company. Now the public company is defined under section 2 subsection 71 of the Companies Act 2013, which says that public company means a company which is not a private company and has a minimum paid up share capital as may be prescribed. So it has got a straightforward definition that public company is a company which is not a private company. Or we can say that there will be no RLP in the public company. RLP means there will be no restriction to transfer shares, there will be no limit of 200, and there will be no prohibition to invite to public for subscription of its securities. And it also says that has a minimum paid up share capital as may be prescribed. So, as in the private company, the minimum paid up share capital was prescribed before 2015 was 1 lakh, and similarly, in case of public company, the minimum paid up share capital which was prescribed was rupees 5 lakhs. But after 2015, there was an amendment, and there and now currently there is no such minimum paid up share capital which is prescribed. But in future, CG may by its rules prescribe such limit. Now, the definition of public company provides further that a company which is a subsidiary of a company not being a private company. So, basically, a subsidiary which is of a public company shall be deemed to be public company for purpose of this act, even when where such subsidiary company continues to be a private company in its articles. So, it is saying that if there is a subsidiary company of a public company, then that such subsidiary company will be deemed to be a public company, although that's a subsidiary company will be a private company in its articles. So it means that that such subsidiary company will be deemed or will be called as a public company, but its internal matters or the articles will provide for RLP for that such company. Suppose company A is a public company and it has got a subsidiary company B, and the company B is a private company. But for the purpose of this act, this company B shall be deemed to be a public company. That means all the compliances which a public company has to do shall be applicable on company B. But although the conditions of RLP will apply the same as those are applied on a private company. So if we come to the difference between a private company and a public company, that what differentiates a private company from a public company, that is the RLP. In the case of a private company, there is RLP, and in case of public company, there is no RLP. In the case of private company, there is restriction, there is limitation, and there is prohibition. Whereas in the case of public company, there is no restriction, no limitation, and no prohibition. So I hope you all have understood very well, and that was it for today's video, and probably it will almost take us around two more classes for our section to be completed, and that is all for today.